August 9th, 2024, beginning our day. Longpa Liam's favorite word is Kwam Rusuk. At least it's the word that he uses the most often, it seems, which means feeling. Everything is feeling. So how often do we get tricked or deceived by a feeling, by just feelings? And so sometimes there can be this idea that we only want to practice when we feel good or when we feel like it. So, but Ajahn Chah gave that advice that when you feel like it, you practice. When you don't feel like it, you practice. That's how you make progress. So if we practice when we only feel like it, or if we feel like maybe we can only have something like metta when we feel good. Well, if I don't feel good, I can't have metta. That's certainly not the case, though, because metta is an attitude of goodwill that actually we can have even if we aren't feeling good or we're just feeling low, we can still have goodwill. So it's not really dependent on just feeling good. If we just want to feel good all the time, then, and when we're in the monastery, if we're striving to try to feel good all the time, that's no different than being outside of the monastery. That's just that same mindset. So how can we learn how to be okay whether we're happy or suffering, whether we feel good or bad? How can we just be okay with that, just learn from all of that? Sometimes feeling low or being tired or grumpy even, it can be good for developing patient endurance. And it's a real test of our practice. If we're feeling low, can we just not be a slave to that feeling? Can we not give into that feeling? And just note that this is feeling low is like this, feeling grumpy is like this. It's not a problem, it's just the way it is. I don't need to lash out at other people just because of this feeling or lash out at myself, but it's just the way it is. It's going to change just like everything else. So then we develop this equanimity, this very even attitude as we go about our lives. And when we start out with the practice, there's all these difficulties. I was kind of talking with Garrett a little bit this morning about our past karma, things that we did as lay people, and I came from kind of a similar background, so just all these crazy dreams and difficulties and all sorts of storm of feelings coming up right at the beginning. So I think of like the training when you first come to the monastery and if you want to ordain. So if you're in Anagarika, then it's like, I think of the Dhamma, if you think of the Dhamma as like a planet, and before you come to the monastery, you're just kind of floating out in space, and then you want to do this entry to the Dhamma planet, so you kind of decide you're going to enter, but the Anagarika training is like where the entry is like entering the atmosphere. So there's all this fire, and kind of the image of the Anagarika is like you're kind of in this pod with all this fire around you, and you're just kind of am I going to make it or not? Abort. And but then if you make it through that atmosphere, then it's okay, kind of in the clouds. That might be how it goes with our trailer placement this morning as well. So we'll see. Anyway, it's a reflection this morning.